So one of the biggest gripes that I hear from skeptics and from your normal average everyday researchers is that when it comes to UFOs, if they exist and if we are being visited by off-world entities flying in off-world vehicles, then why is there such a scarcity of up-close, HD, high-resolution video and photographic footage? And we've tackled this many times before, and it's a simple fact that a large majority of the UFOs that are captured today are filmed with handheld potatoes. And of course, I'm talking about cell phones that, even with today's technology, are simply not good enough to capture these craft that are many times miles away, and in instances where they're seen at night, even worse. And so the hard, simple truth is that most of your average everyday people are not out there walking around carrying high-powered, high-res DSLRs. They just aren't, but maybe one day they will. But that's not to say there isn't a mountain of evidence that UFOs have been here and are still here to this day. And so one of the favorite areas of this phenomenon that I love to jam right down a hater or a skeptic's throat is the indisputable proof that has come at the hands of a very old and very simple technological achievement that we know as radar. And so today, we're going to talk about my personal 5 favorite cases wherein which these mysterious unidentified vehicles have not only been witnessed by civilians on the ground and pilots flying in their jets, but by the very radar systems that they were carrying. So without further ado, here are my top 5 mysterious UFO incidents that have been confirmed by radar. In March 2004, the crew of a military surveillance plane busy with a routine anti-drug trafficking surveillance flight suddenly caught sight of 3 unidentified objects on their radar. Now, as they could not see anything with their naked eye in the area where the objects were supposed to be, they then decided to turn on their IR or infrared camera in order to track them. Over the next 30 minutes, they recorded 11 UFOs, moving through the sky at a very high rate of speed. One of the objects also seemed to divide or separate into 2 more objects, and so through the plane's dome-mounted radar system, and after some time chasing these objects, there became a few tense moments when the radar confirmed that the objects had surrounded them. In a completely uncharacteristic move, the Mexican government later released all of the details of the event and provided the footage to the world's media. Skeptics and debunkers later attempted to dismiss the sighting as nothing more than an oil platform burning off flares. However, the Mexican military stated that the elevation of the lights was clocked at a higher altitude than their planes. Not to mention, the Mexican Air Force stated that they were chasing something and were being chased and surrounded themselves. In an incident that was awash with conspiracy theories, NORAD and the Air National Guard picked up an unknown object that entered Washington's restricted flying zone on July 26, 2002. As the UFO's track caused concern, F-16 fighter jets were scrambled to intercept the object, but the pilots claimed that they saw nothing when they arrived on the scene. The object also disappeared from radar. At the same time, in Maryland, several witnesses saw a fast-moving bright blue light in the sky. The witnesses also said that they saw jets pursuing it at high speed. According to NORAD, that was all that transpired, and they view the matter as closed. But according to the witnesses, more than 2 jets were in the air, which indicated that the scramble was unique. One dipped its wings on approach as if to communicate with the unknown object. And they also claim that the jets trailed the UFO, but the object flew too fast for the jets to keep up. The event was later featured on Fox News as well as the Washington Post. On January 8, 2008, dozens of residents in Stephenville, Texas, witnessed a massive UFO in the sky above their town. The eyewitnesses stated that it was as big as a football field, while others said it was nearly a mile long, very similar to the mass sighting in Phoenix in 1997. Several witnesses claim that the object moved extremely fast, one of which, who was a private pilot, believed that military aircraft chased the object and that it had turned around and traveled back to the direction where it originally appeared, as if they had spotted the F-16s in pursuit. The story was covered by CNN's Larry King in the days after the event. After almost 2 weeks after denying any aircraft were operational in the area, the U.S. Air Force did a complete 180 and now claimed that they were conducting, quote, training flights in the area. That might have been the end of the rumors had it not been for the very detailed radar report obtained from the FAA, which clearly showed a very large object in the sky tailed by the jets at the exact time that the witnesses claimed they were seeing the unidentified craft. On the evening of May 25, 1995, America West Flight 564 was flying at an altitude of around 39,000 feet close to Bovina, Texas. While observing lightning outside the plane, an attendant noticed a peculiar set of flickering lights a little bit below the 757. The first officer was alerted to the phenomena, and he immediately saw the lights, which he described as 8 bright blue strobes. As the rest of the flight crew watched the flashing UFOs, they could discern the object as being cigar-shaped, and the pilots estimated it to be between 300 and 400 feet long. It was said that the object could not be seen on the FAA's radar, but the following day, the controllers checked with NORAD and discovered that they had tracked an unknown object the previous evening that appeared to be stationary but would accelerate and stop at extremely high speeds. These quick sprints, as they called them, were estimated to be between 1,000 and 1,400 miles per hour. The object was also said to have been seen by a U.S. Air Force pilot manning an EF-111A. To this day, the incident remains unsolved. Lastly today, we talk about one of the most infamous sightings that many of you have probably heard of. But if you're new to the research, this one is a fascinating tale, and it occurred in 1952 over Washington, D.C., where over the span of 17 days, from July 12th to the 29th of 1952, a series of sightings took place over the city. One of the most publicized events took place on the 19th. On that evening, an air traffic controller at Washington National Airport detected 7 unidentified objects on his radar screen. His superior immediately verified that the instrumentation wasn't faulty, and moments later, a controller at another facility also confirmed the objects, with multiple controllers stating to have witnessed bright orange lights as well as disc-shaped craft. At this point, the radar scope lit up with even more objects, and the controllers phoned Andrews Air Force Base. Fighter jets were then scrambled, and the objects were tracked by the Air Force. It was later stated that the Air Force radar readings were caused by a, quote, temperature inversion. However, this excuse failed to impress, as the objects were also seen by hundreds of eyewitnesses, and as such, the case continues to be open and continues to mystify those who research it and who were there. So these were just 5 of my personal favorite UFO sightings that were confirmed by solid radar data. And you can find many more cases just like this. And I think it goes to illustrate a very important point, which is that the UFO phenomenon has not only been evidenced through film footage and photographs, or even personal eyewitnesses who were there and have seen these things with their very own eyes. But as we have gotten more technologically advanced, that very technology has thrown a wrench into the government's well-oiled cover-up machine, having also captured these UFOs in the form of radar data, infrared footage, and sonar. So with that, I want you all, especially if you're a skeptic, to continue to keep an open mind and to really ask yourself, do you truly believe that all of these hundreds of thousands of UFO sightings, abduction reports, and whistleblower testimony has been nothing more than a misidentification that could be chalked up to weather balloons or swamp gas? If so, I'd ask that you follow the channel and maybe go back and start at the beginning and go through all the videos we've posted, and then ask yourself the same question. And so on that note, I want to thank you guys for stopping by today. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe on your way out. Stop by and grab a Secure Team shirt if you want. Support the team we all love, and I will see you back with much more in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.